Hi friends, welcome or welcome back. Today I want to talk about spring. It is finally starting to feel like spring and I am itching to cast on some lighter weight makes, some tees and tanks, things like that. And I wanted to talk to you about 10 patterns that are on my radar and that I'm really excited about for the transition into spring. So we're going to start with some of the warmer pieces that I think might be good to transition into spring, and we're going to head into some accessories and then end with some tees and tanks that will be better for when we get into slightly warmer weather. The first pattern that I want to talk about is the Brunch Pullover by Nicole Thorson Knits, and this one I am honestly surprised I haven't cast it on yet. I would if I had the right amount of yarn in a color that I wanted to use. This is so deliciously squishy looking. It has this amazing waffle texture, and I think that this was going to be kind of a labor of love. I don't think it's going to be an easy make. It seems like it is pretty time consuming to do this waffle texture in fingering weight yarn, but it looks so beautiful and I really, really, really want to make it. Ideally, I think that this one would be so beautiful in a solid or tonal colored yarn. I have almost all variegated yarns. I barely have any solids, which is a problem. So I think I need to find myself a nice tonal that will look really good in this stitch pattern and let it shine. I mean, the sample that's made in this beautiful green is just to die for, and I think it really shows off the texture of the stitch pattern and doesn't take away from it with a variegated or speckled yarn. Next up we have Zephyr Tides by Courtney Little, and this is a fun cardigan that really caught my eye because it has one of my favorite things, and that is garter stitch. Now, I barely ever want to knit cardigans because of having to purl so much, but man, when you throw in some garter stitch into that for me so I don't have to purl as much, you are speaking my language. This is another one that I think I haven't cast on yet because I haven't had the right yarn at the right time in my stash. I think that it would look really good with something more tonal or slightly speckled rather than variegated, and I just haven't had the right amount of yarn. So fingers crossed that maybe that perfect yarn falls into my lap and I can get myself this cardigan, because I feel like it's going to be a great transitional piece for as we head into the warmer months when we still have those cooler nights and mornings. Next up we have the D Street Distress Sweater by Brie of the Little Wolf Knits. This is a recent pattern release, and while yes, it does seem like it might be a little late in the season to cast one of these on, I think it's going to be the fastest make ever, and I think that it's going to be perfect to throw on those chilly mornings or chilly nights that we have coming up, because we still have half of March and all of April to get through. At least where I live, it doesn't start to get regularly warm until May. So I think I still have plenty of time to get this one made, and maybe to make it a little bit more transitional for heading into spring, I might shorten the collar a little bit because it does have a mock neck collar. But other than that, I think it's still going to be great, and I think it's going to be a super, super fast make. Next up is something that has been on my favorites for almost as long as I have been saving favorites on Ravelry, and that is Spring Thing by Espace Tricot. So we are heading into accessories now with this adorable little scarf. This is a single skein project, which is perfect because I think I'm going to use it for my 1 week 1 skein challenge, and it is a garter stitch, the way to my heart, and it has this amazing contrast border with these tiny little fringe tassels. And I think it's so clever. It's so simple, but so clever. And with the right combination of main color and contrast color, it could be an amazing way to add a little pop to your outfit in the spring. The next accessory I have is the Crescent Moon Shawl by Jake Kenyon. And this is a DK weight crochet crescent shaped shawl. And I don't know, I've been really drawn to it since it released. It has 5 colors that alternate throughout the shawl, and I think I want to do one in like a more neutral palette. I think that might be good for me to bring into my wardrobe, to add a little bit of neutrals into my wardrobe. Now, I might need some help from my neutral loving friends out there, because I don't know how to do neutrals, so I might need help getting some that coordinate together. But I think that it could be a really good addition to my wardrobe. I have been really wanting to make more giant shawls lately because I love to wrap myself up in them, and I think that a neutral one is what is needed. And a crochet DK shawl should go really, really quickly. The next shawl I have on my list is the Ingrain Shawl by Sarah Opie, and this pattern calls for 3 different colors of fingering weight yarn that are faded together. But I was looking at the yardage requirements, and I was thinking that I might be able to use 2 skeins of fingering weight and fade them together about halfway through the shawl instead of breaking it into thirds, and I could maybe get rid of 2 skeins during my 1 week 1 skein challenge. So we might have to make a 2 weeks 2 skeins video instead of 1 week with 1 skein, but I still think it could be doable, and I think it would be perfect. I have a couple of skeins that I think would fade really beautifully together, and yeah, I think whenever they get pulled out of my little mug, that one will be what I cast on. Next up is the Cozy Circle Crossbody by Lacey Williamson. And this is a little bit different because this is a bag and not a garment or shawl of any kind, but it is so cute. I have been wanting to make this since I first saw it, and I think it's the perfect accessory to make for the spring. I mean, come on, look at it. It's adorable. All you need is 1 skein of boucle yarn, and I feel like it's going to be a really quick make. It can be really stylish depending on what color you use and what you choose to use for the strap. So I have been searching for a single skein of boucle in like the perfect color for a while now, and it hasn't come to me yet, but it will. And then I will be casting on this bag. Let's transition into some slightly warmer weather makes with the Broken Riblet Tea, again by Nicole Thorson Knits. This is kind of reminiscent of the Brunch Pullover that I mentioned earlier, that I think really lets the texture of the stitches shine. So this is a cute little short sleeve tee with a pocket, and it's adorable. It's a different stitch pattern than the Brunch Pullover, but I feel like, again, it really begs to be made out of a nice tonal yarn so that the stitch pattern can really shine and show off. I don't have yarn for this because it calls for a sport weight yarn. Now I'm sure I could probably get gauge with a more plump fingering or maybe a really light DK, but so far I haven't been able to find anything. And that again is because I barely ever get tonal yarns. I always get variegated yarns, and I really need to start learning to bring some solids and maybe some neutrals, or maybe some just speckled yarn that's not variegated into my life. Next up is the Shoulder Shift Tank by Kate Hammett, and this has been on my list for a while and has been calling to me because, once again, it's my absolute favorite garter stitch. And this is made with a DK weight yarn, so I mean, come on, DK weight garter stitch it's going to be so relaxing, so fun, so meditative, and just, ugh, perfect. I can see myself taking this out onto our front porch, sipping my coffee, watching the world wake up in the mornings, and just knitting away on my lovely little garter stitch. So I have almost cast this on so many times, and I've been kind of waiting for the right moment when I really, really need it. You know, when my soul is telling me that I need the most meditative knit ever, that is when I'm going to be casting this on. And to be honest, I think it might be pretty soon, because the next month or so is going to be a little bit hectic, and I think this might be the perfect thing for me. The last pattern I have to share is the Mavis Vest by Woodward Designs, and this is a DK weight crochet tank that has really cute details along the sides and has been on my radar for so long. I don't know why I haven't cast it on yet. I think, again, I have just been waiting for the right yarn. I was really surprised when I was pulling together this list, because so many of these patterns are ones where I want to make them out of a solid colored yarn, and that is something new and different for me. I very rarely reach for solids. I always want to go variegated. I always want to go highly speckled. I like color. But a lot of these patterns, I think, are telling me that I want some more basics in my closet. And now, something that I've been coming to terms with lately is that basics doesn't mean neutrals always. So I do want to introduce some neutrals into my closet, but really just having more solid tonal colors does not necessarily mean that they have to be neutrals. So I might be making some of these in a solid color that might be hot pink or something like that. But I definitely think it's time for me to start branching out from my usual yarn tendencies and get some solids into my yarn stash. So let me know what you think of my list and what you think that I should make first. And let me know what's on your list of makes that you want to cast on this spring. Is there anything out there that you're really itching to cast on? Let me know. Share it down below, and maybe I'll be adding it to my list too. So until next time, take care of you, and I will see you later. Bye.